So you're the youngest commissioner in the European Union. Huh?
Yes,
Congratulations.
I don't know if it's achievement, but okay, I hope.
But I think the field you work in, the field of environment and sustainability, is a field that more and more young people are getting interested in, implementing it in their everyday life, thinking about it. So how do you explain it to your children and how do you implement it in your life?
I think first of all, explaining it to children, it does not really require extra explanation, because if you do it very naturally at home, for example, you recycle,
okay,
they do it, they take it naturally.
So they see the example.
Exactly. For example, my children, they don't imagine that there is no recycling way. You don't use, plastic straws and etc. They don't imagine that there is someone who is using the plastic straw, because at the end of the day you construct the world for your children, so they are very much surrounded by these very natural habitats, and that becomes their natural habits.
What can we elders do to create a more sustainable future, both in everyday life and as a part of, initiatives?
I think it's always about, choices you make. And that cannot be unnatural, The government cannot force it on you, It has to be,
you have to feel it,
natural. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can start with your consumption pattern. Okay, maybe you don't believe in climate change, but you probably believe in your family budget.
Yeah.
So you can save a lot of your family budget and help environment tremendously by not consuming more than you need. Secondly, your choices of transportation, for example. Do you really need to sit on your own in that polluting
big
car
yeah.
in the traffic, or you can take a bike and be healthier, especially when you're getting older. These bike rides, they really do help your health, save you money because you don't spend any on gas, and this is the best way for you to go around the traffic, or use
especially in the big cities
public transportation. Yeah, exactly. Or flat cities like we live in Belgium. They are pretty flat and with a good infrastructure. So I think, it all starts with your personal choices. And when people ask me this question, so what can I do? Because, emissions is some global thing. No, it all starts with your own consumption pattern.
And step-by-step changes you take in your life, yeah?
Absolutely.
But if we target some special fields now in our conversation, so when we go to Adriatic Sea every year with our family to our vacation, there is a lot of plastic waste floating around and polluting the shores. What is the EU strategy handling the specific plastic waste that is gathering in the seas, and especially how do you preserve the sea life?
Plastic is another very good visible example how our overconsumption can choke the
world,
things that we love.
Okay.
I think, I'm coming from the Baltic Sea, and everyone loves to spend their summers at the Baltic Sea. Like here we
go to Adriatic, yeah.
Exactly.
We love it.
The thing is with our plastic consumption that it's not sustainable. Yes, member states did good work in increasing recycling. However, the use of plastic has significantly increased. So we have increasing recycling, but even more usage of plastic. And that, of course, then generates waste, which countries are not able to deal with. So we are now proposing a new, completely different legislation with already, first of all, tackling pollution at the source.
Okay.
So all the pollution that you see at the sea, it came from the land.
Of course.
So you have to tackle it at the source, and you need to get rid of useless plastic packaging, for example, that absolutely do no functions at all. For example, I'm still shocked to see these small bottles in the hotels.
Yeah, of course.
Reusable, refillable, they exist for many, many years, and it's absolutely fine with people. So why do you need these small plastic bottles? The same goes with all the sauces that you have, ketchup.
Of course, in this little packages,
in the small packaging and etc., which is completely unnecessary.
So you're going to ban it, or?
Yes, they're going to be banned. Some of that packaging will be banned. Second thing is reuse. So we need to increase reuse much more in the areas where we can do it. Yes, and the third part is, of course, recycling. But for example, in some member states, we see that when they don't have a deposit system, a lot of cans, a lot of plastic bottles, glass bottles, and etc., they end up somewhere on the floor. And for example, a couple weekends ago, I cleaned the Brussels canal with my son in kayak.
Okay.
And you see a lot of bottles which you don't find in some member states. Why? Because they have a deposit system. Deposit system works that people are bound to bring it back. So I think these three things can do a significant change.
One field that is also problematic is the field of clothing.
Yeah.
So Fashion Week just happened in Ljubljana a couple of days ago, and these designers, local designers, especially if they're sustainable, they find it very difficult to compete with this fast everyday fashion. So is there an initiative also going on in European Union that could help these designers?
So in our sustainable fashion strategy, what we want to achieve, we want to first of all tackle fast fashion. Of course, it's always very difficult for small designers to compete with the large ones because they have a completely different business model. And small ones, they're usually the most sustainable ones because they don't have resources to waste them.
Of course.
So we are trying to approach now with the producer responsibility scheme.
Okay.
So basically, what you produce or what you put on the EU market, you will be responsible for cleaning it as well. For collecting it and etc. If you won't be able to reach certain percentage, you will have to pay for it.
You won't be able to produce anymore.
You will have to pay for it.
Okay.
So it will cost you. So you either produce as much as you can sell, because now, for example, we have hundreds of millions of value in destroyed goods. So, for example, very well-known brands, when they don't sell,
they just destroy
the spring collection, let's say, and then they cannot resell it through their other stores, they just destroy it at the end of the day, and it's millions in value. And that's also destroyed resources, because to produce those clothes, they used a lot of water, they used a lot of chemicals, and so on. So all those resources, they just wasted without even, putting them on. And with fast fashion, that's even a bigger problem, because, of course, on one hand, people will going to buy clothes that they can afford.
Of course.
But the problem with fast fashion that people are buying so much that at the end of the day, some of those clothes they are never worn, or they are worn once, and then they change color, or they're not in the same shape, and they just thrown away. Only 1% out of all clothes that we wear is being recycled. The rest is either incinerated, so basically burnt, or end up somewhere, exported to Africa and dumped there. So that's even bigger issue.
So you're going to follow it from the source to the end, to the recycle.
Absolutely, the whole life cycle approach. This is the only way I think circular economy can work, when you start with the design. So I think what we need to ensure that the clothes that are produced, that they would be much more recyclable. Because now with some of the chemicals used, some of the materials mixed, it's not possible to recycle them. The best thing actually that what happens to clothes is the second life, that they are sold on some platforms or second-hand shops and etc.
And again, we come to young people that are thrifting, that are using it.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's more approachable and it's more affordable.
But now it's becoming very trendy.
It's becoming trendy.
Yeah.
If we touch now the Green Deal.
Yeah.
If you start to read it, it reads kind of complicated. Yeah. But what do you think are the main focuses that every European should know? And how will it influence our life in short and in long term?
First of all, Green Deal should not be approached as some environmental or climate policy. It's absolutely wrong. It's our growth strategy. Okay. It's about the future of our economy.
The way,
how it's going to look like. So in a short term, it's such a big horizontal change never easy. Because that's definitely going to have one or the other way impact on the way
everybody lives.
We do things. Yes. In the long term, I think we will have a much cleaner air around us. So not only in the parks surrounded by trees, we will enjoy it, but hopefully also around the schools, kindergartens, around the living areas where people do live in the cities. Secondly, I think we will be leading in a clean tech. And I hope that the solutions that we are now, developing, on which we are working in Europe, they will be all across the world. And thirdly, hopefully, we will be able to avoid severe weather events as much as possible. It's not all of them due to climate change. but they are much more severe and deeper in scale because of the climate event, because of the climate crisis, biodiversity loss. They reinforce each other. So I truly hope that we will be able to avoid the severity of that.
But what do you think are the greatest challenges?
The greatest challenge, I think, overall, the scope of the change
yeah.
that we need to do. And then on one hand, I can say that businesses, they already see that there is no other way around it, because if you have emissions price around 80 euro today, in 10 years it can be 200 or it can be 2000.
Yeah.
And it will be very, very difficult for your dirty, polluting business to survive if you won't be able to change in this years where you have so much extra money put forward. Secondly, I think there is still a political clash, and there is those that are denying that things as climate
are
change
changing, yeah.
or biodiversity loss is happening. And thirdly, I think we need to ensure that it's global.
But how to do it? Because Europe is really small, also in
small but powerful.
Small but powerful, yeah.
I think because that's the thing with climate policies, with biodiversity policies, that none of the country nor of the region can fight it on its own. So we need to tackle it globally, and that's of course a challenge to get everyone
together,
on board.
yeah.
On one hand, you have many countries that are way less developed than us, and they do understand the climate severity, because they already have climate pressures, raising sea levels that cause migration. People have to leave their homes. They cannot farm as they used to, and etc. So that's already putting pressures. On the other hand, you still have large emitters, so China, India, who are still their emissions are increasing, and that's of course puts a competitive pressure. But we have together with our legislation, we have ensured that if you want to enjoy our single market, which is one of the powerful tools that we have, you will have to ensure that you
will have to obey.
Exactly, by the same standards as European producers.
Which is the last agreement you managed to reach that you're particularly proud of in this field?
Each agreement when we reach, I'm particularly proud of. So, not to downplay any of them, because the huge and historic one, the Global Biodiversity Framework in Montreal, but the latest one, which I had an honor to sign in New York, together with Commission President, was the agreement on so-called the high seas. So the protection of the high seas, and it means 95% of the ocean, because even here, being in Slovenia, we think of ocean something very distant. But to be honest, if we lose the functions of the ocean,
it influences us all, yeah.
We are done.
We see it now with this weather changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, if the ecosystem's not able to cope with the absorbed emissions,
it's going to collapse.
The climate, it doesn't matter. We can reach zero emissions. We can go into the minus. We still busted because there is no technology that can replace it. So I think BBNJ is a big agreement on protection of the high seas, and I'm of course extremely proud that we've managed to achieve it.
Perfect. You work in a field which has a lot of activists.
Yeah.
Is there any environmentalist you're really inspired by it? Yeah.
Overall, I think the people who defend the environment, they deserve a lot of respect, because usually this is not a very profitable way, and people, they defend trees, soils, ocean. This is not something that will line up behind you and say thank you, and
go for it. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is a big.
It's like Don Quixote's,
big mission. Yeah. So all of them, they have my full respect and gratitude. One particular one, if you want me to single out, I would like to say probably Enrique Sala.
Okay.
It's the National Geographic, one of the chief explorers, chief scientists, who has done a incredible work as regards the marine protection. Okay. If you look at the Central America, South America, and the waters around there, the way he managed to convince the governments to protect the areas and so on is significant. And I mean, he's an excellent person, always very positive, always very inspiring. So I would say, you know, if I need to single out one,
He would be the one.
He would be the one.
Do you believe that we are at the threshold, at the third industrial revolution?
You're right. We are at the end. You know, the way we used to produce things, it has to be the past. And I think now there is a way for clean tech, and clean technologies are gaining more and more ground. And I'm pretty sure that with their expansion, with the investments into the clean technologies, they will be more and more affordable.
And more people are going to take them on.
Absolute businesses and so on. So, you know, because it's always difficult, these changes for small enterprises, because the uptake is not so high, because they don't have, you know, free capital, cash flow in order to invest into technologies. Bank loans are, you know, difficult to get comparing to bigger companies. So that's why we need to ensure that this affordability of clean technologies would be as broad as possible across Europe.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your work, and keep it going.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.